Hey, it's the Ray Rican, and today I'm going to talk about this article I saw on CNN. Of course, it's CNN pushing this nonsense. But here we go. Oh, man. Let's see what happens. So here goes. White supremacy with a tan. Okay. Here's the whole thing. If you're going to say that no, look, listen, white supremacists, real white supremacists, do not accept people like me. Period. So this whole white supremacy with a tan, look, this is what happens. The left are losing the war when it comes to people of color. Not people of color like me, other Latinos and blacks. We're not falling for this stuff anymore. This white supremacy with a tan, it's not for me. It's for other white people. This is to go, hey, look, this is what, this is a scare tactic. But I'm going to touch on some of these things. It goes, this person talking about my personal stake in a multiracial America. Look, I remember growing up, and I'm sure this happens to blacks and this happens to other Latinos, that we're not considered, we're not considered Latino if we don't talk a certain. So, like I said, you have blacks and Latinos. If we don't talk a certain way, if we don't act a certain way, they'll be like, "Oh, why are you acting white?" And it's like, okay, wait. So I have to act like let's say I grew up in the Lower East Side. I have to act like a thug to be Latino, or black. It was like, that makes no sense to me. It's a head scratcher to me. Why do I have to fit into that to be Latino? It's, why do I have to even talk Spanish? It's still in my blood. I understand it. I don't speak it too well, but I understand it. But that's what they do, and so what's going on is we are having a more multiracial country. The division that's going on is these people that want to keep pushing this whole idea of white supremacy and whiteness. Why can't we just all be American? They don't want that either. They want the division. It's what keeps this country divided, and divided, we're weak. And that's the whole idea of, excuse me, that's the whole idea of divide and conquer. And this I find funny. Let me read this quote. White supremacy isn't just more resilient than many assume, it's also elastic. Considering how whiteness has been defined, it's a prime example of how white supremacy adapts. White supremacists are not people who adapt. White supremacists, they want nothing to do with blacks and Latinos and Jews and Asians. Nothing. So this whole idea that it's elastic, it's bullshit. This is a fear tactic. This is saying, oh, well, now we're gonna move the goalposts and go, oh, if you don't agree with this, then you believe in whiteness. So let's say, for example, in the beginning of the article, he's like, cutting taxes for the rich helps the poor. There's no such thing as Republican or Democrat, judge. Climate change is a hoax. Some political myths refuse to die despite all the evidence to the contrary. And that's what they want. They want you. So if you don't believe in the Democrat view of the world, you believe in whiteness. So if I believe, let's say, I believe in the Second Amendment. Oh, if you disagree with that, they're going to start moving that over to, that's an issue of whiteness. Even though you have countries like Australia and Canada that limit especially Australia, that and Great Britain and a bunch of countries in Europe that don't allow guns. They're white, but look at the gun issue in Brazil. They're not white. But this is how they push their ideology. They push it. This is what's going on with this whole all of a sudden attack. They're trying to link whiteness with being American. So like that, when you say you're proud to be an American, oh, so you believe in white supremacy. Oh man, I didn't read the whole article. I just saw the title in it. So here it goes. The future of whiteness could rest with Latinos. It's hard. It's a hard truth for me to accept because I see the racial hierarchy at work within my family. I have young male relatives who appear to the world as black and one who would appear as white. They might as well live in different universes. So here it goes. It's a divide and conquer issue. Um, you you have to believe what they believe. That's what this is about. This is not about your skin color. It's about ideology. And if you don't believe like they do, then you're not Latino. You're a white supremacist. I want to keep going here. Racism in unexpected places. The link between whiteness and status is already a reality in some Latin American countries. True. Places in like Brazil and Cuba, mixed race people and interracial marriages are common. Latin Americans tend to think of themselves not in terms of race, but nationality. Correct. Yet discrimination against darker skinned indigenous people is common there and many other Latin American countries. There's still a widespread belief that the whiter a person looks, the better it is for them. Isn't that what you're trying to push in this country? You're trying to say that if you're white, then you have it made in this country. But that's not what you're pushing. You're just a walking contradiction of that article. But that's what's going on. White supremacists will never accept blacks and Latinos and Asians, but they want to push that onto us. They want to push this here, saying that it's about whiteness. It's about saying that if you're white, it's better. Look, listen. I grew up in the ghetto. I grew up around people, so weed people who smoke weed, people who drank on the corner and all that stuff. I didn't want to do none of that stuff. My uncles, not proudly, my uncles were junkies. I looked to their example of what I didn't want to do, what I didn't want to be. So does that mean that I'm wrong for not wanting to talk a certain way? I didn't want to talk in slang and ebonics and all that stuff. But that's how they painted me. I was lesser because I didn't talk like them. I was lesser because I didn't want to smoke weed with them. That's that's what they're pushing here. So it's like, so if you don't act that way, you acting white. Happens all the time. If you're black or Latino, it happens all the time. If you don't act a certain way, oh, what are you acting white for? So it goes here, multiracial people will not save America. You know what will save America? When people like this person here stop stressing race and just say, we're all Americans. Can we all be Americans? That's all we want. That's all people like me want. We just, we disagree on ideology. We disagree on philosophy. We disagree on the way the country should be run. It's not a white issue. It's just a disagreement on the way things are governed. And people understood that 50, 60 years ago. Now that race is being pushed into, people complain about like religion being pushed into politics. Well, now you got this push of racial identity into politics. And that's what's causing the division. Because now, if you put your identity, if your identity, like I said, like, obviously I'm Puerto Rican, okay? I'm Puerto Rican, hence why I have the Puerto Rican and American flag. If I don't, since I identify as Puerto Rican, if you disagree with my politics, you're racist. And that's what identity politics has done. If you don't agree with me with the way I think things should be done and the way government should be run, then you're racist. Then you're sexist. You're transphobic, homophobic. If you don't agree with the way things are governed. Like I remember my, I said my best friend's a lesbian. When we were younger, we used to talk about the whole gay marriage issue. We were both under agreement. Government should stay out of marriage. They shouldn't recognize neither gay or straight marriage. It should be called civil union, and the government recognizes civil union. That's it. Leave marriage, the word marriage, to church, into churches and religions. Leave that for them. They're the ones that marry these people, and the state just recognizes the union. That's it. It's only tax. It's for tax purposes anyway, because you could get, if not, you could get divorces and annulments. Well, I should say you could get divorces easy. So that's what this whole thing is about. No, white supremacy is not going to be tan. What's going to be tan is not everybody believes the ideology of the left. And because not all blacks and Latinos believe that, they want to call that whiteness. So like that, they could go, oh, look, they're a self-hating Latino. Oh, look, they're a self-hating black person. That's what they're doing. It's injecting identity politics into ideology. So like that, they could club you with it. That's what's going on with that. And that's what people like me fight. Because, when friends of mine go, I don't want to say something because I don't want people to think I'm racist. Oh, you're not. But what's going on is they inject your identity into the politics, into the ideology. You disagree with them. That's why Black Lives Matter was a perfect phrase, because if you disagreed with them, you were against Black people. But when you see that what they put, some of the tenets that they stood for, how could you be for that? How could you be against the family? But when you put two and two together and you see that, oh, well, these people are Marxists. Literally, they were proud Marxist organizers. Well, Marx was against the family because it went against the communist utopia. Because nobody with family, you belong to a family. With communism, they don't want you to belong to a family. You belong to the state. And that's where we're at right now. When they talk about wanting, look, as much as I hate that rich people try to get out of paying taxes, nobody should pay over more than 50% of their taxes to the government, because that means the government owns you. If they could tax you 60, 70, 80%, the government owns you. You're a serf of the government. That's what they're trying to push, these next 90% tax rate, because someone makes so much money. You're just causing division with these type of ideologies. It's pushing wedge issues, pushing division, it's destroying this country. And at the end of the day, who will be the winner? China. China is the basically our main adversary. It's not Russia no more. Russia could care less. They don't want to be the world power. They tried that before and they saw the consequences. It's China that we have to worry about. And with this Marxism creeping into our society, they're laughing all the way to the bank. We'll leave it there. I'm the Right Rican. You can follow me on YouTube and Rumble. You can also interact with me on social media: Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram. With that being said, have a good one, everyone.